Good hello and welcome to another episode of Down Under Politics. This week we have some top spicy content for you. There we go. We're real YouTubers now. I said content. How about that? We got a little bit of news coming out of some policies that the New South Wales Labor leader Chris Min has proposed, and then after that, in the marketplace of ideas, I have no idea why I did that gesture, but it's sticking. We're going to be talking about Elon Musk, Twitter, free speech, and God, are we really talking about Twitter again? Oh, kill me now. So without further ado, we have myself, Jonathan, we have Mitchell, David, and Tom here tonight. And David likes race car. So yeah, should be a fun show this evening. So we'll jump straight into what little bit of news is actually interesting, because everything in Australian politics is really boring apparently. Either that or my newsfeed is broken. So as we were briefly discussing before we went live, New South Wales Labor leader Chris Minns has an interesting policy proposal that it looks like he's taking to the upcoming election early next year, which has two parts of it. One part of it I agree with. It's like, why were we not already doing that? Then I realized New South Wales Liberals is the answer to that question. And the other part, I'm just like, why? So basically, for everyone at home that has not been following Chris Minns, he's been Facebooking up a storm over this one and not answering questions, as he's a very busy man apparently. But
Bursts
basically,
into room,
but
gives policy, refuses to elaborate, leaves.
yes, that's exactly how Australian politicians work, and it's fantastic. They truly love driving that engagement. So
It's not Jono. It's not Jono. He's just doing mic drops.
I'm pretty sure you have to be making a good point to do that, though.
He thinks he is.
Look,
It's just
he
like he's
does
just
think he
saying
is.
his policy, dropping the mic, and walking out.
It's like a mic drop. We're gonna call it a policy drop.
Either way, Giga Chat energy right there.
Yeah, definitely. If New South Wales Labor does not win the upcoming election, I will eat my hat.
Better start slathering it in sauce, though.
Oh, I intend to, because in Australian politics, the teams don't matter, the rules don't matter, anything can happen, and the sports bet websites are always wrong. So basically, policy though. So it comes in two parts. The first part, which makes kind of sense, an end to no grounds evictions. Which, if you're renting and the landlord wants to evict you, they should probably have a reason other than they feel like it. So let's discuss that bit first. Then we'll get into the, in my opinion, pointless bit. Anyone want to go first?
I'll buy it.
Can they make up a reason?
I mean, they could, as long as it's a reasonable reason. I mean, all reasons are made up, aren't they?
Can they say, I want to move into the property?
They could say that would be a reasonable reason, I suppose.
My understanding is that that has been a reasonable reason already, because I think Queensland is working towards similar sort of stuff if we don't have it already. And basically the way it is that once your lease runs out, they might be able to get rid of you. But I see it as a basic contract law sort of thing. Like part of to invoke my libertarianism, if you want to have government as little involved in things as possible, then you've got to have strong contracts, binding enforceable contracts. To allow one side to break that contract unilaterally without penalty, that doesn't seem fair to me. Because if you as a renter were to leave, you'd be up before the end of your contract, you'd be up for 4 weeks rent, all of that sort of stuff. There's certainly a imbalance of power in favor of landlords these days, and it's not helped by the immense demand on rental property.
Oh, don't say that too loudly. The Landlords Victoria Facebook page will suggest unionising against you.
Oh no, whatever will I do?
Look, as I understand it, and I mean, I am not a real estate lawyer, so I can't believe I had to say that. I never thought I'd say that
Could
sentence.
you imagine?
Could you imagine? But I was under the impression that while under the terms of the lease, they do need to have a proper reason to evict you. It's more of, as I understand it, after the lease is expired and you're on an ongoing lease, that you can have no grounds evictions, and that is what I understand Chris Mins was suggesting putting an end to.
See, in that case, I think if there's
contract is
no
ended anyway.
contract. Sorry, you're going to say, David?
Yeah.
The contract is ended anyway,
Well, yes and no.
in a way.
And my contract law is a little bit rusty. I did study a little bit of it at uni, but it is rather rusty. That was a few years ago now. That even though there's no written contract anymore, as long as both parties continue to behave as though the previous contract was in place, legally speaking, it continues to be in place, provided that both parties continue to behave in that manner.
Having
I've always
just
been under the
studied
impression that
law, I
one.
can confirm.
Yeah, I always thought that it was like once the lease is up, if you choose to continue to live there and they're not offering you a new lease, then you're living there under the risk that they may kick you out at any stage without any reason.
Yeah, that's as it stands at the moment. And I believe that's what this policy proposal is seeking to change.
I don't really see a problem with that. And if you want security, you just ask for a lease, and if they can't give it to you, find someone that will.
Yeah, they still got, don't they? They still have even out a lease. They have a period of time to give you to move out.
Because it's not just then the tenant taking a risk there. The tenant could suddenly leave, and it takes a while to find a new tenant for a house. So they're both taking a risk by not having a lease.
Mitchell, you had something to say?
Oh, I think the other said it for me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my perspective is that get yourself a longer contract. Generally speaking, if we're looking at places where renters do have a lot more rights, we're looking at Europe. Long-term renting is more of a cultural thing over there, and they have things like 5, 10, 20-year rental leases. They've got in with that permission to redecorate the house as they see fit, as long as it's put back the way it was at the end. You don't even need to ask your landlord permission for all that sort of stuff. Like, you have a lot more of a space to make a house a home over there. And I think if we're to really look at redressing the balance of power and putting it more on an even footing between landlords and renters, then I think maybe that's the sort of stuff we should be looking at as well, like incentivizing long-term contracts.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I only get 6-month leases in this place. I've been in 9 years, but I get a new lease every 6 months.
It's almost like the landlord feels a need to remind you that they can upend your entire life at any moment.
I think it's actually the real estate agent's policy, because he doesn't like too much paperwork. And
so he wants you to re-sign a new lease every 6 months so that he has to do more paperwork?
He said that he doesn't want to do any more long leases because if someone breaks it, there's a lot of paperwork and hassle. So he wants that to happen less. 6-month leases, it doesn't happen as much. And he also only wants one person on every lease. He doesn't care how many people live here. That's up to me, he said, but I'm the only person on the lease. So if there's like a couple that breaks up, there's less paperwork for him. He's just really lazy.
Right.
I don't think that guy should be a real estate agent.
Look, if we were going to clear out the real estate agent industry, we'd be desperately short of real estate agents, and the world would be a better place.
Look, I'm completely okay with that. Can you imagine a world without real estate agents?
It'd be beautiful.
Cuts to scene from The Simpsons. You know the one. But yeah, so that's that part of the proposal. The other part that I think is very meh once you think about it for more than, half a minute, is where did it go? I had it in front of me a second ago. Oh, right, making the bond portable, so that people, when they move, because moving is very expensive according to Chris Minns, which actually is someone who's moved a couple of times. It's not the cheapest thing. But he wants to make it so that you can transfer your bond from one property directly to another. Which on the surface of it, at a very surface level glance, you're like, yeah, okay, so you don't have to, have the bond ready to pay for the new place and have that, 4-week or whatever it is gap between when you have to pay it and then you get reimbursed from the other place if you left no damage. So I mean, for people that are really strapped for cash, I suppose that could be helpful. But the way I see it, it's just going to lead to people being in debt, because if you don't get all of your bond back and then there's now a shortfall on the new place, depending on how the legislation's written, if it goes that, it just gets put in as a debt to that until the bond can be released and sent over there, then you could potentially be in debt over there. Or if it gets released before an inspection's done to pay the new place, you get put in a situation where you might owe money to your old landlord. Not a great idea, in my opinion. Kind of defeats the purpose of bond.
Yeah.
Do you theoretically think, because I was thinking before, was there the potential that you say you're leaving one place, you do all your inspection and everything ready to move, but then for whatever reason, you don't get your bond back, and then somehow that impacts the lease? And that's where I was like, could you theoretically end up homeless?
Well, if you can't actually get the new lease until after that inspection's done and the bond is released, it depends on how the legislation gets structured, but I can't see a way to structure it that doesn't cause a whole bunch of problems.
Having said that, I will make the case that it is good from a quality of life perspective, and also from a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck.
Yes,
a lot of
they
people don't have money to put up 4 weeks rent for a new bond, even if the old bond is going to be released to them soon anyway. So heaven knows I've been in that position. If I were able to transfer my bond over, that would have made life a lot easier.
Oh, look, I agree with you on that. It would definitely make it easier, provided everything goes smoothly. But for everyone that's ever rented before, I've never had a real estate agent that hasn't tried to take the bond for something.
I have a solution. I think I just thought of a solution.
Yep, what's your solution?
When you sign the new lease, you are required to pay a small fee of, say, $50 for bond insurance.
Are we just creating an industry that doesn't need to be there, though?
Yeah, that sounds like,
No, but you're providing that convenience of being able to transfer the bond between two properties without the risk. So if for whatever reason, if you think about it, the transition between moving out of one place, moving into another, and your inspection is going to be a week or two, not even. Most bonds are probably like less than a few grand. So it's extremely cheap. It probably wouldn't even be $50. It'd probably be like any insurance, you can insure a car for like $100 a month. So it'd be a very small, maybe $20 fee. And it would just be an insurance that you're going into the new property. If for whatever reason you do not get your bond back on the old property because of damage and that kind of thing,
dust on the light
that
switches.
insurance fronts the bill for your new property. Or it could be the other way there. It could be the other way around. It doesn't really matter. Could be bond transfer, and then if for whatever reason the old place is trashed and blah blah blah, that insurance covers the $4,000 or whatever needs to be.
So who are you proposing that would be providing this insurance? Are you suggesting a private insurance company or the government guarantees it?
it'd have to be a private insurance company, which would make an advantage. A lot of the time, like we said before, real estate agents will try and milk the bond for everything, and they'll be a little bit dodgy with it. If you've got an insurance company that has to pay that, they're going to be policing it and asking for real reasons. So maybe to rein that in a little bit.
Possibly. That's
Yeah.
actually not a bad argument.
And
Yeah, I was against the idea until you said that, and I'm like,
That's
well,
not a terrible
yes.
argument.
Hmm.
I mean, my experience with insurance companies is that basically once they have their neck in the game, they don't actually care about you. They care about how much it's going to cost them, and
well,
yeah,
from what Tom just said, the thing that's going to cost them is if the real estate's milk them. The moment they have to pay a few grand, they're not.
You know what would
going
make this whole thing a lot simpler? Get rid of the bond entirely and just make every tenant get home insurance.
That's a lot more expensive, I feel, Tom.
I feel like that
Because
will
it's
result in
ongoing.
people being homeless.
Yeah.
I'd have to look at the numbers to be sure, but my gut instinct to that is that seems like it's going to put homelessness rates up.
Well, you could have a tenant's home insurance that only covers up to a certain amount, which would be not that much more than what the bond would have covered, which would make it cheaper.
But depending on
Yeah,
whether
but
the whole process, take the real estate agent out of the decision making.
In a way, it's funny hearing you say it, Tom, and Jono's kind of humming like that's what the landlord can get. Do you want the tenant to pay it or the landlord?
Well, the tenant's the one that could be damaging the house, so it's to replace the bond. So you, like the landlord might have full home insurance, but the tenant could have a tenant's home insurance,
have
which is
renter's
basically
insurance.
a bond. Yeah.
The owner can get renter's insurance, so if the tenant destroys their house, they can claim it and get it covered.
Yeah, if the bond doesn't meet that.
And I agree. I get what you mean. I just find it interesting because I know you and Jono are kind of on the fence of not liking landlords, but it seems interesting to put that cost onto the tenant.
I'm not on the fence of that. I'm the more I don't like home property developers or people that make a career out of it. But landlords, nothing wrong with it. My landlord's great.
It's just your real estate agent is a shonky.
Yeah,
Aren't they all?
a little bit.
This is true. There is a reason that real estate agents are the second least trusted occupation in Australia.
Who's the least trusted?
Politicians, obviously.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
See, my real estate agent, he might be a bit lazy, but it sort of makes him good for me. You know, he comes over for inspections, he just takes a bunch of photos and walks out basically.
Look, my real estate agent for our last inspection didn't even take photos. They didn't even walk around outside, mainly because with it being the fact that it's been raining in New South Wales for the last 18 months non-stop, you can't walk on the lawn at the moment without sinking up to your waist. But that's not my fault. I don't control the weather.
See, you say that now. Soon enough, you'll have a real estate agent banging down your door saying, "Why didn't you turn off the rain?
Why didn't you put a tarpaulin over the yard so that it...
Get out there and sponge it up."
To be fair, if proper drainage was put in the yard from the get-go, it wouldn't be a problem at all.
Wonder whose problem that would be.
Look, I don't know, and we're not going to go into that.
It's probably the landlord's fault. So if he wants proper drained lawn, then he can put in the drainage himself.
Agreed. Look, I put in the automated lawn mowing system so the landlord can have a mowed lawn. What more do they want from me?
Remind me, I actually need to talk to you about that at some point.
Look, automated lawnmowers are great because they mean that I don't have to be pushing a lawnmower around the yard.
Been thinking about getting one, but I reckon it'd go missing around here.
Well, you know, you can get ones with GPS tracking on them.
Just one that
like
screams if it gets picked up.
They do scream. They do scream if they get picked up. My one, if it gets half way up on one of the kids' toys, the sensor, the things that picked up, gets tripped and it starts screaming. I'm just trying to work out a way to change the high pitched beep that it makes for the scream and change it to a goat screaming. Because that would be hilarious.
Alternately, you could also change it to either your choice of Blood for the Blood God or Wah.
No, that's the attack drone sound.
Probably simpler to
you
just replace it with a goat.
Could just replace it with a goat. That's an option too. They cut the lawn pretty short. Although, actually, how would that go given that our lease says no pets?
It's an ornament.
It's outside.
I wouldn't suggest a
Garden
goat, actually.
animal.
I'd suggest a sheep. Goats have a tendency to go missing in and around the Newcastle Birnbong area.
That's a fair
Tell them
point.
it's a wild animal that showed up there. You don't know where it came from. I have a pet magpie at the moment.
We have
one
many
can't leave
pet
the yard.
magpies, but that's mainly because my wife and children keep feeding them.
Do you want to get swooped? Because that's how you get swooped.
They've gotten
No,
very friendly.
if you feed them, they will not swoop you.
Oh,
Them walking up to its baby and everything. They're very smart.
there you go.
Fair enough. All right. Well, look, that's the news, and that is everything that has happened in politics in the last 2 weeks in Australia. Nothing
Slow-
else happened.
Slow news week.
I know. Slow news 2 weeks. So now we're going to jump
that's
into the marketplace of ideas. So our topic for this week is Musk, Twitter, and freedom of speech on social media, which I know is David's favorite topic, other than Jordan Peterson. He also loves talking about Jordan Peterson.
And who wouldn't love talking about Jordan Peterson, man?
Look, I just don't think I can watch any more Jordan Peterson lectures. My brain is already mush from the 6 hours of them that David's made me watch.
But how would you create order from the chaos of your life?
Now, look, does my background tell you my thoughts on that? For the ruinous powers. So, as everyone knows at this point, because you can't not go on the internet without knowing about this, and if you're watching this, you're on the internet right now, believe it or not. So you know about this, but Musk bought Twitter for too much. It was 44 million or something, and once you break it down to share price, he bought it for what the share price is currently selling somewhere around $30 a share, and he bought it for $55 a share, so almost twice as much as he should have. Which, look, I enjoy Musk's sorrows, so I find this quite amusing.
It's not even worth that $30 too. It's all bots.
Allegedly it is all bots. Although that being said, David's on Twitter, and he's a bot, so there's some credibility to that.
This is the internet. Everyone's a bot but you.
Look, everyone on the internet is a bot or an FBI agent. Obviously.
FBI bot.
So yeah, apparently, and David, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong about this, but apparently the loud but small group of leftists on Twitter got upset about Musk buying Twitter. The fasci right-wingers got very happy about Musk buying Twitter, and then they stopped being happy about Musk buying Twitter. And apparently Musk also trolled AOC. Although I've seen those tweets, and I would argue that anyone that thinks that's actually Musk trolling AOC didn't really think about it much at all.
I'm perhaps showing my immaturity here, but the thing that I find most hilarious about this is that the day after the sale went final, the hashtag went viral on...
I did not censor that, by the way. Just to be clear, that was the NVN dropping out for a sec.
Oh, I muted myself too.
Oh, you muted yourself. I thought that was the internet messing up.
But yes, the hashtag went viral on Twitter.
Mitchell's not going to say it. Mitchell, you know our goal is to be cancelled. Because that's a thing, apparently.
No, but if I say that here, I live in Joe Bjorky Peterson country. People are going to love me for it.
True.
You have to say so.
Probably
Watched
get picked up by
anything to do with
YouTube,
Twitter.
Jono.
Oh no, we're past the 15-minute mark. YouTube doesn't care anymore. It's a
Right.
well-known fact that no one on YouTube watches anything past the 15-minute mark. So YouTube just doesn't care about anything that happens in a video after 15 minutes. I mean, I could sneak up behind Mitchell right now and yell blood for the blood god and do blood for the blood god things to him, and YouTube would be totally okay with it.
I could sneak up behind Jono and yell for the Emperor and do purging for the Emperor things, and YouTube wouldn't care.
Exactly.
Next week.
Which actually, just off topic for a moment, and this is, related to the topic we almost discussed tonight, but I prayed to the blood god, and then I rolled successfully, and I was forced to do blood for the blood god things. Or,
So you're converted now?
or it's also possible that, there was a 50% chance of that roll being successful.
I mean, we're all Warhammer players here, regardless of whether you're religious or atheist. We all know the dice gods are real.
They are, and you can't change the past. If you try and change the past, the dice gods will punish you for it.
But anyway, going back to
back to the
free
marketplace
speech.
of ideas.
So you're saying that after the 15-minute mark, I could say that we should.
Yes, I agree. That is exactly what Karl Marx said in his book. But yeah, so David, is that summary basically accurate of what happened on Twitter?
Yeah, it was rather frustrating. It's been very fun and interesting, but also terrible. Basically,
it's Twitter,
all the
so that
left
makes
have,
sense.
Some of it's been fun, some of it's just been painful. I got in an argument with a guy in America about how their healthcare system is second rate to Australia's. That was fun.
No, their healthcare, David, you're wrong. Their healthcare system is not second rate to Australia. It's about 52nd rate to Australia.
That was fun, but basically all the left lost their minds and started saying they were leaving. I haven't really seen someone actually leave because they're all addicted to social media.
They're very addicted.
They said they moved to Canada after Donald Trump was elected. Did they do that?
Very true. But the right's been very annoying too, because they've just for the first few days they were just posting dumb shit, like posting obviously controversial things like there are only two genders to try and see if it would get cancelled and banned and shut down. And it was just really annoying to see all that stupid shit. It's like, yeah, you're real funny. Okay, move on.
I mean, the bots that run Twitter, I'm sure they'd still be in place just because Musk bought it. I don't think you could get rid of him in one day, so they probably would still flag those, I'm sure.
Well, he's fired a shitload of the company.
I'll
but
for that.
Well, you gotta have those leftist tears folks for my leftist tears Tumblr.
The AOC thing was hilarious because basically Twitter, I don't know if any of you use Twitter, but if you don't, Twitter Blue is like the paid subscription, or like YouTube.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing I found out about this. I found out what Twitter Blue is, and I'm just like,
yeah, so
that's
you can,
really dumb.
I'm finding out now.
So you can pay, and I'm talking American prices because I honestly don't have it. I haven't bought it here, but American prices, I think so $3 a month gets you extra features. You get like the ability to edit your tweets after you post them. You get, I think it's like,
I bet Steven Crowder loves that feature.
Yeah, for that was the original. So that was already in existence prior to Musk buying it. So he's changing it to $8 a month. But one of the things he's changing is that everyone's up in arms about is the verification tick. So if you're a verified person, you will not get to keep the verified tick unless you are a paying Twitter Blue customer. But anyone now can get a verified tick in terms of, like, verified was typically only allowed for people such as famous celebrities to verify, when you see that blue tick, that is that celebrity's account.
Yeah, so people can't scam people under other
people's
people's names.
People can't pretend to be Beyonce or whoever.
Stopping people from
basically
using your
now-
name to commit fraud now costs you $8 a month.
Yeah. So
Who
what that
thought
means
that
now
was a
is
good
I could-
idea?
It's not necessary on
Well,
Facebook. So. People make fake accounts on there all the time. Eventually, everyone works it out and they get banned.
Well, now what they're doing is anyone can get that blue tick in terms of like myself. I'm not a famous celebrity. I'm not a well-known journalist. I can pay the $8 and I can have a blue tick next to my name. And everyone has, and I actually don't know because I haven't actually announced it, but everyone has lost their mind saying like, everyone can just buy a blue tick now and everyone can be verified. So naturally, all the blue tick people who are typically, rich, elite celebrities are losing their minds because they're like, now everyone can be verified or pretend to be me.
Oh no!
But they
I
haven't
won't. I
actually
won't get
said
to be. I
they're
won't get a
saying-
special status symbol unless
So
I
I
pay.
can
Because when everyone's
verified. I can be verified as Tom Jones.
Yes.
because when everybody's verified, nobody is.
Well, that's what everyone's saying, but they have not announced any changes to the verification process. So you still have to, as far as anything I can find, jump through the same verification hoops to prove who you are. And I am pretty sure from what I've heard is that getting verified requires you to provide your ID. And obviously you are signing up to something. So you're providing a credit card to sign up to the service. So I don't see how they're not actually changing the verification process, I don't believe, but they're just opening it up to anyone who wants it. So I'm not sure why everyone's losing their mind.
I can't begin to
on that.
express how indifferently I feel towards that.
And even then,
And that's what upset AOC. So she lost her mind because verification is going to everyone, and she's like, now anyone can pretend to be anyone.
That's
same
not
thing that
what it
everyone's
means.
saying with
I'm pretty sure that's not what it means.
Yeah, I
If
don't
I
think
were
that's
to
what it
use
means.
Twitter, I'd want to put like a little unverified next to my name just to annoy everyone. I'm an imposter.
Look, I'm
think
going to break my
the-
rule, and I'm going to make a Twitter account, and the account name is going to be unverified.
That way, if I say anything controversial, they can't be mad at me. It wasn't me.
Yeah. Well, I think AOC's point was that, billionaire Musk is now just selling as a $8 subscription service and that. And then he responded, I think, being a bit of a smart ass, saying your feedback's noted, now pay $8. Which for AOC, who's, a senator probably making hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars, $8 is
Nothing.
sweet fuck all.
I don't even make six figures, and it's nothing to me.
I know. It's like,
I pay for YouTube
same.
mainly because I hate ads.
why are you
Yeah,
paying
well,
for
that's
YouTube?
interesting.
Use Brave browser.
I'm not brave enough for that.
But yeah, and then after that, she posted a video complaining that her Twitter app was no longer working. She posted a screenshot, and it was of just the one of the verified pages that wasn't working. And she said her Twitter was gone and basically bricked, even though she somehow managed to post that from Twitter for iPhone.
I don't think she thought that through too well.
And then, yeah, she posted this video complaining about it and tried to say she got under Elon Musk's skin. So she basically had a meltdown about it. And then he come back and wrote something like, he's like, you're right. It was a blatant abuse of power. It's like, yeah, I totally did that. So it's just been fun to watch. He's just being the biggest smartass to everyone.
Well, I mean, he did just pay $44 million for it. He's got to have a little bit of fun with it, I suppose.
I'll correct you.
And
Jono, it was 44 billion.
Oh, billion. Right, yes. That's a lot more.
And to be fair, AOC is incredibly low-hanging fruit.
This is true. I mean, AOC is the politics as Kent Hovind is to religion.
Oh, that's harsh.
So look, I think the more interesting part of this discussion, as fun as talking about Musk trolling people and AOC um, showing that she is a child at heart.
I'd rather she show her feet pics.
Wow, Mitch. That was the thirstiest comment I've ever heard from you, and I never want to hear it again.
Ben Shapiro asked me to say it.
God damn it. Look, I think the more interesting thing, though, is around the left and right's reaction to it, because in the lead up to it, and correct me if I'm wrong, David, because you spend a lot more time on Twitter than I do. But Musk was like, "Oh, we'll bring back all the banned people and let you say racist shit so you can have your free speech if I buy it." That's basically what he was saying over the last few months.
I think his thing is.
At least that's the impression I got of what he's going to say from right wingers.
Yeah, I deleted Twitter ages ago, and I only installed it again just to watch the fire, just because it was fun. But what he's been saying recently is not so much free speech; it's more it should be politically neutral. So he's hinting that he does not want it to be a left-wing echo chamber. He's trying to be politically neutral, seems to be the gist of allowing free speech. Obviously, there will still be rules. He's already said there'll still be hate speech and that kind of rules.
Which is something I did want to get to, because I believe that the right wing are melting down over that now.
No, probably.
Well, it all depends what you define as hate speech.
I mean, I define it as... Look, I define it similarly to how you define, like, direct... Like, in most Western countries, direct threats of violence are illegal and a restriction on freedom of speech. I see hate speech as a little bit like that. Like, if you're... A cut and clean example would be if you're proposing genociding a particular ethnic group. That's obviously hate speech.
It's based, but it's hate speech.
Wow.
You said you want to get cancelled.
Look, I do want to get cancelled, but I also don't want to have Stephen Crowder fans worshipping me because they are some of the dumbest people on the planet. But look, when it comes to hate speech, I mean, obviously calling for genocide, it's hate speech. Accidentally misgendering someone, probably not hate speech. I mean, you kind of need to have the hate and intent there for it to be hate speech.
Well, what about something like crime statistics, the old 1352?
It depends on how you're interpreting what you're proposing based off of them. Just posting raw numbers, not hate speech.
Well, I agree. It's not hate speech, but people have seen it as hate speech because a lack of context can sometimes lead people to the wrong conclusion.
Well, that's where the open discussion sort of puts the end to it. If you're sharing data that's sort of out of context, seems a certain way, and then someone puts it into context, it fixes it. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, I mean, there's always ultimately some context whenever you post statistics, because what you don't post alongside them also impacts how they'll be received.
That happens.
Oh, sorry, you go.
I was going to say that what Tom just said, it happens all the time on Twitter. You'll see happened a lot with COVID. You'll see a lot of stats posted and graphs that are fancy. And then you go in and you read the replies and it's just everyone tearing you to shreds or tearing the other person, like, your data doesn't show this. They'll be just calling out whenever something is wrong. I think a good example was COVID. Lots of people were showing upticks in, and this is a typical, Jono, I think we've talked about, they'd show upticks in spikes in transmissional cases, but then the moment you looked at the same graph, if you zoomed out a little bit, the uptick was nothing compared to what it had just been. So yes, it was going up, but relative to what it was actually freaking tiny, and they
Yeah,
were
see,
overblowing it.
I think that's a really good example because when it comes to hate speech, if you're just posting statistics, it really depends on if you're posting them in a way an attempt to mislead. And I think in order to be able to make a claim of posting statistics as being hate speech, you'd have to demonstrate that the person knowingly attempted to mislead.
But even then, I'd like to see people show their stupidity on display for all to see. Yeah, I think it is more constructive, better for the public discourse, for someone to post that 1352 and then somebody else to say, okay, so the reason why this is the case isn't because of inherent racial differences, it's because of systemic economic oppression that has happened.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
of mixed
exactly it.
feelings on that, as I can think of at least one like on a theoretical level, I 100% agree with you. I'm 100% on board with having people just, the old-fashioned saying of how do you get someone with a poorly informed opinion to show that they don't know what they're talking about? Just let them keep talking.
Mm.
Or how do you win an argument with an idiot? Let them keep talking. But that being said, I can think of at least one historical example where people who had objectively bad ideas were allowed to publicly speak their ideas, and it resulted in a world war and nearly the genocide of an entire ethnic group.
The difference is, you can let people say what they want. It's when you want to give them their ideas respect. Like, there's some platforms where they say that we should respect everyone's ideas as a form of freedom of speech. That's not freedom of speech. You let them say them, but you need to be able to respond and criticize them. If you can't do that, then it leads to genocide. But,
and to take that example of Funny Moustache Man and the windmill people, the whole reason why they were able to do that is because they were able to quash free speech to begin with.
Yeah.
There was no free speech in zany Germany.
This is true.
in internet context, freedom of speech on a platform includes the comment section and a like to dislike ratio. You shouldn't take those things away. So, like YouTube's made this mistake where you can take comments off your video or they hide the dislike button. That means that when someone is performing some kind of hate speech, their only way of dealing with it is to silence that person, not let the comment section and the likes and dislikes destroy them.
I have mixed feelings on that as well, as I run another channel where I do a show on Wednesday nights talking about wargaming, and I got put in a position where I had no other choice than to block someone from continuing to comment, as they were posting links to porn. So I don't think I don't think taking that option away from channel owners is a good idea either. Because there are situations where you just have to have that capacity.
That's where you should not be held accountable for your comment section if someone's doing that, if the platform is not giving you the right to delete comments. But if they're really for free speech, it needs to be what happens.
I like Reddit's approach. It gives you the ability to delete comments, but then it says comment removed.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
So then it shows if you're going in and deleting multiple thousands of comments of all people who are going against what you're saying, it's just going to say comment removed, comment removed, comment, and it's just going to be like all these blank things that kind of stand out.
It's the same as the showing the dislike ratio. If they did that, like that would have combated a lot of their conspiracy theories that they're trying to get rid of now. If they just had the dislike available for everyone to see.
Yeah, but they got rid of the dislike ratio because their YouTube rewind videos are terrible, and quite frankly, it's an embarrassment to them that nobody likes them.
Look, that is the real reason, and we all
got
know
rid of the reruns.
Although I find the official reason for that most entertaining, because for those that don't run a YouTube channel, you probably don't know this, but the owner of the YouTube channel can still see the dislikes.
Yeah. So whose feelings are
So
they
the whole
protecting?
reason of, oh, we're doing it so that people's feelings don't get hurt. It's like, the person whose feelings would get hurt from a dislike can still see them.
I think it's supposed to stop down. What is it? Like pile-on effect sort of thing.
Yeah.
I suppose. I don't think it really achieves that, to be honest.
Actually, that reminds me. Now that I'm a brave, I need to find an extension that restores the number of dislikes on a YouTube video. I had it on Chrome.
Look, just use Chrome. Google needs your data. They desperately need your data, and they're going to get it anyway.
Heard they were going to kill
Actively
ad
not.
blockers on Chrome, and ads are the only free speech I don't like. So
I think, Jono, going back to what you were saying before, that's
Mm.
something that we've talked about with hate speech rules. I've always felt that hate speech is hard to define.
It's very hard to define. I
It's-
agree with you on that.
Everyone defines it differently. And that's where I've always found that you don't need that. You can just follow like what you were saying, typical abuse laws and that kind of thing. And this is where I think a few weeks ago we were talking, we said Kanye got kicked off Twitter for, the stuff he said. And I said, I actually agree with that. Because the
Well,
stuff
he was
saying,
literally calling for the genocide of
exactly.
an ethnic group.
Exactly. And that's where that, like I said, that to me is, yeah,
That's
take
more-
that down.
He shouldn't have been kicked off. He should have been arrested.
He really should have. But Tom, here's
he
the thing.
just took that red pill, put it in the thing, crushed it up, snorted it.
Tom, here's the thing though. The police don't serve the common man; they serve the proletariat. Welcome to the revolution, comrade.
You mean they serve the bourgeoisie?
Yes, they definitely serve the bourgeoisie. Like Karl Marx said in his book, we should definitely oh, fun.
So Jono's making a Twitter.
I'm never making a Twitter. That was a
I mean-
joke.
Well, it's like Ayn Rand said. It
God.
wasn't offensive. It's just Ayn Rand.
No, it's Ayn Rand, so it is offensive to everyone with brain cells. I mean, I've never read something in my life that goes out of its way so much to just make its bad guy completely unrealistic. It's not good literature.
My favorite part is like the 50-page monologue by this guy, who's basically just a mouthpiece for Ayn Rand.
If it's the monologue I'm thinking of, in law, that monologue goes on for like 12 hours. So look, David, you should definitely read Atlas Shrugged. It's not bad at all.
What am I reading?
Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. It will
Oh,
not.
right.
It definitely will not make you want to put a bullet in your own head.
And then once you finish that, and you've got brain cells left, because Atlas Shrugged is going to grow how many brain cells you have.
Oh,
You
is
should
it
read
now?
that too.
Look, Mitch. Here's a question though. When libertarians give oral sex, is it called fountainhead job?
I don't know. Ask Alan Greenspan.
But look, we've got about 8 minutes left, so we'll quickly talk about the right-wing reactions. We've already talked about how the left have lost their mind over what is ultimately nothing. But the right-wingers, which this is the bit that I find the most amusing, I've heard of a lot of right-wingers on Twitter that have lost their mind because Musk has openly had to come out and say, no, we're not going to be reinstating people that were banned for being hateful shitheads. And we're still going to have rules in place that mean you can't go and threaten people's lives directly.
Let's see what Milo Yiannopoulos has to say about this on Twitter. Oh, wait.
It's almost like Twitter is a private company who exists solely to produce profit, and if they let all of the hateful shitheads back on, one of two things will happen. A, all of the advertisers will leave because they don't want their products associated with that nonsense. Or B, all of the users that don't like, literally having people call for their genocide and literally keep posting porn at them. I'm looking at you, Sargon of Akkad. Will leave. And then the advertisers will leave because it's no longer worth their time.
Did Sargon of Akkad actually do that?
He was known for doing that.
Uh,
Whenever he
Yeah,
would
no,
get into an
like
argument with
ideas.
someone that he couldn't actually make a proper argument, he would just end up tweeting porn at them.
For a guy who claims to combat the degeneracy of modern Great Britain, he certainly engages in it.
Look, did you ever read his open letter to end social justice at universities?
No, I did not.
It's the most embarrassing thing ever. It was, dear universities, please end social justice courses now.
That was it?
That was it.
I mean, he's to the point.
He is very to the point as to what he wants.
Look, you can't embarrass yourself with the words you say if you don't say many words.
I know, he said enough words to embarrass himself pretty badly. But look, I find the right wing flipping out about this quite entertaining, mainly because, haha, I told you so. It's very much I told you so moment. Personally, I would love to see Musk lift all of the censorship and allow everyone that was banned from Twitter back on it. Mainly because I think Twitter is awful and I would love to see it sink.
But before he does that, let me know, because I've got to buy stocks in popcorn companies.
Oh, look, before he does that, please let me know. I'm going to go and put a bunch of put options in against Twitter.
But you can't. He owns all the shares now.
Damn it. No, I'm fairly sure I can still put options in against it.
Didn't he buy like a?
I thought he just bought a controlling
majority
share.
Stake. Yeah, it's like he doesn't even have the majority of them. He has the highest majority.
Fair enough. Okay,
more than 50%. It's like 15% or something.
Right.
So, David, you use Twitter a lot. What do you think is the most likely outcome of this?
I actually don't know. I'm hoping, like right now, I know Jono, you're going to flip, but I know the blue feature doesn't actually remove ads.
What? You pay for it? What is this?
Yeah.
Netflix?
Pretty much, yeah. But I'm curious to see. There were tweets today, I think, and it was about he's looking at fixing up the long form video aspect for content
because that's
creators,
what people so care about on Twitter,
and also setting it up so content creators can take a cut and make money off obviously Twitter when Twitter Blue users watch their videos. So I don't think that'll happen anytime soon, but it will be interesting how it adapts.
Well,
didn't Musk hear it's all about short form content? Anything over 60 seconds and Zoomers stop paying attention.
Yeah.
Is he trying to position it as a competitor to YouTube?
I don't know.
I don't know. I suspect he's trying to generate profit from having a creator base similar to YouTube. Kind of like YouTube and Twitch. I think possibly he's looking into the creator space on how could that, because right now Twitter doesn't generate any funding from that, any money from that, and creators don't get anything from it. It's just a social media presence.
Actually, on that point, Twitch is going downhill these days through
I heard about that.
genuinely terrible decisions.
I don't know what happens on Twitch.
Neither do I.
I broadcast to Twitch once a week, but I don't know what happens there.
Basically, inconsistent banning, moderation policies, people being banned for incredibly stupid stuff, and yet the booby streamers stay up, all of that sort of thing.
Oh, of course. Yep, that makes sense. So it's turning into OnlyFans.
Yeah, but like with a veneer of
shit.
presentability.
Okay.
I was trying to find some fun tweets, John. I was scrolling through
There are
Stephen
no
Crowder's,
fun tweets, David. They're all bad.
on Stephen Crowder's site. I'm like, there should be something here that Jono will love.
I feel like when you say that, you mean the other thing.
I know, Jono. We should do an episode just going through Steve Crowder's "Change My Mind"
Oh, God.
topics.
Look, you know that you're bad at debating when the only debates you'll do are against 19-year-olds that have no media training.
That you found on the street.
Yes. And have, poorly. Like, I've watched several of Stephen Crowder's Change My Mind segments just for the lols. And I'm just like, where does he find these people that have a complete lack of understanding of the base material that they're talking about?
I'd call it selective editing of his videos as well.
Oh, look, it could be that as well. And the fact that he controls the mic, and as soon as you start making a good point, he will literally rip the mic away from you.
But the Change My Mind format's been kind of ruined for me ever since Friendly Geordies decided to do it once and then never did it again.
No, he's done it twice.
Oh, he's done it twice.
He also, in the lead up to the 2019 election, I believe it was, went into Scott Morrison's electorate and set up a booth that said, the Liberal Party are terrible economic managers, change my mind.
Yeah, and he just had like one old guy and some teenager
Yeah.
talk to him.
And the teenager was basically like, well, things are pretty good here, so why change things?
Imagine being a teenager and a member of the Liberal Party.
Look, the Young Liberals is a thing.
Imagine being a young Liberal.
I do enjoy trolling the Young Liberals, admittedly. It is fun.
Look, I have some friends who are young Liberals, and I genuinely respect them as people because it takes guts to be that and just to paint a massive target on your back, because that's pretty much what joining the Young Liberals is. And yeah, like I've got respect for some of them. They're resilient people, if nothing else.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Although, I mean, the only people that are more resilient than that would be people that willingly share One Nation propaganda.
Do you really call them resilient if they just yell at you incoherently and then block you?
They usually
That's a lack of self-awareness.
They usually just don't respond to me at all. And it's quite funny. And if they do, they usually post statistics that I then point out that, hey, a sample size of 400 people, when you're talking about something that affects billions of people, is not statistically representative.
Let's be honest, though. Australian politics wouldn't be the same without Pauline Hanson.
This is true. I mean, who else would we point out as an idiot? Scott Morrison? Oh, wait.
He's like the American Splash in our politics, just to make it fun.
Yeah, but if they make it fun, people will actually pay attention. And then the Liberals will never gain power again if people start paying attention.
That's why you have Mr. Potato Head leading the Liberal Party.
I reckon you'd be surprised, John. I think that's why Trump won.
Trump won due to some fairly complicated reasons. Mainly, he promised a whole bunch of shit and blatantly lied.
I mean, also Hillary didn't campaign in 3 states that she adhered to.
Oh, also, yeah, Hillary is also a terrible candidate. That probably helps Trump a lot more. I'd say it's more of a case of, it's not that Trump won, it's that Hillary lost.
I think it was also the fact that he was not a politician, that all the people who just did not care about politics or didn't care that much were like, yeah, let's vote him in and just break everything.
Yeah, they were like, I'll show those rich elites by voting for the rich elite. I mean, it's like the people that vote for One Nation. It's like, I'll sure show them elites by voting exactly the way them elites want me to. Because One Nation, at the end of the day, serves a very important tool in Australia. It's a very predictable party that will vote with the Liberals almost every single time and capture the people that wouldn't vote for the Liberals that would just otherwise draw a dick on their ballot.
Look, I
about
can't
United
disagree with that
Australia?
assessment.
I mean, Mitch, you live in Queensland, so you should know all about those sorts of people now.
I'm in National Party territory.
This is true.
Ooh.
Although, actually, the funny thing is, of all of the people that I work with, in the area that you live in, they're all very left wing. They're all very much the Liberals fucked up everything they've ever touched.
I mean, they're not wrong. The National Party hasn't done much for the people of the bush. I'm speaking from my experience in New South Wales, of course, but in New South Wales, the Nationals haven't done much for the people of the bush in 50 years. That's why the shooters, fishers, and farmers are gaining ground.
True. Very true. I'd love to see where the shooters, fishers, and farmers land on the political spectrum.
They're basically Labor with guns.
Labor with guns?
Yeah.
Oh, so I'd have all of the same issues with them I have with Labor then. In that they're still
Probably.
neoliberal cocks.
I think they're more protectionist.
Oh, protectionist neoliberal cocks.
More or less.
Fair.
Jono, you just need the Socialist Party.
Isn't that the Labour Party? That's what Sky News told me.
Oh, but don't you know, Labour Party literally has democratic socialism as one of their goals.
Does it?
It's in their constitution. Yeah, something like that in the constitution. I don't put much stock in it.
I look, if it is there, I don't think any of them follow that because their policies are not socialist. They're neoliberal.
They deregulated. They floated the dollar. Like Hawke was the best economic manager the country ever had.
Oh, fun. Well, do we have anything else we want to say about Musk and Twitter and free speech? David, I know that you want to talk about free speech all night. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No.
Wow. David, you were self-censoring. How dare you?
Yeah.
You don't have the freedom not to speak.
Yeah. Anything you don't say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
But did he deny it?
Tom, anything you want to add?
No, I'm good. I haven't been watching you, so I'm sort of learning as I'm talking.
Fair. Mitch, do you have anything you want to add about free speech and how where free speech is saved and simultaneously doomed because Elon Musk bought a company?
Look, I'm just here for the memes. I'm going to have a lot of fun watching all this go down.
Memes are the best part of politics. This is a true fact, unlike those false facts over there.
Just remember, everything's absurd. Just have fun watching it all go to pot.
Yep, and make sure that you vote for the parties that has your economic interests in mind coming in any election near you. Don't vote on these stupid culture war bullshit topics. Because ultimately, what matters more to you, that a billionaire bought a social media platform for way too much, or that the essential service you rely on is getting its funding cut? Well, look, that was a fun discussion. So like, subscribe, or don't, whatever. It's a free country for now. And we'll see you next time. Bye.